foreign policy is going to be a very different look. Already, Team Trump is announcing a maximum pressure campaign against Iran, which of course is the proper strategy against Iran. They're going to dramatically increase sanctions on Iran. They're going to throttle its oil sales as part of an aggressive strategy to undercut Tehran's support of violent Middle East proxies and its nuclear program, according to people briefed on President Trump's early plans. When he takes office on January 20th, Trump's approach to Iran is likely to be colored by the knowledge that its agents tried to assassinate him and former top national security aides after they left office. Plus, Iran is believing to be seeking revenge for the 2020 Trump drone strike that killed Qasem Soleimani, the head of Iran's covert paramilitary operations. People tend to take that stuff personally, said Mick Mulroy, a top Pentagon official for the Mideast in Trump's first term. If he's going to be hawkish on any particular country designated major adversaries, it is, in fact, Iran. They're going to choke off Iran's oil income. They're going to diplomatically isolate Iran. Brian Hook, who oversaw Iran policy at the State Department in Trump's first term, is now in charge of the Trump transition for the State Department, said Thursday the president-elect had no interest in seeking to overthrow Iran's rulers. But, of course, what he means by that is that the conditions are going to be made ripe for the Iranian people to do what they should do and overthrow Iran's rulers. Here's Brian Hook, again, former top State Department official. He's going to be in charge, apparently, of not just Iran policy, but staffing of the State Department. That place needs to be cleaned out stem to stern. It is rife with foreign policy dolts, and Brian Hook needs to go in there with a chainsaw and just start cutting people. Here's Brian Hook explaining about foreign policy.
But in my personal experience, I know that when we deter the Iranian regime, you have the countries that you described who are on the front lines of Iranian aggression, doing everything they can to be a part of that deterring Iran. President Trump has no interest in regime change. The future of Iran will be decided by the Iranian people. I think we've said that repeatedly over 4 years. But what President Trump did say in Riyadh was that he would isolate Iran diplomatically and weaken them economically so that they can't fund all of the violence that's going with the Houthis in Yemen, Hamas, Hezbollah, PIJ, and these proxies that run around Iraq and Syria today, all of whom destabilize Israel and our Gulf partners.
He, of course, is exactly correct about all of that. Now, the anchor over at CNN then asked about, well, how are you going to do the Abraham Accords when the Saudis have said that they want a Palestinian state? And Brian Hook properly says, hey, we provided a peace plan when we were in office. It was the Jared Kushner peace plan. And it provided a Palestinian state possibility after a bunch of conditions. And we were ready to move forward with that. That's the plan we're going to use moving forward here.
If you look at the really important work that Jared Kushner did when he was essentially leading so much of the diplomacy in the Middle East, he put forward a political and economic vision for peace between the Israelis and the Palestinians that many Arab governments officially said was a credible, good faith effort, and they called for both sides to come to the table. That plan, which Israel endorsed, had a path to a two-state solution. This war, the October 7th attack by Hamas, has really not put anybody in much of a mood to be talking about this subject, because obviously Hamas doesn't believe in a two-state solution, nor do they want a ceasefire. And after what Hamas did on October 7th, there are many Israelis right now who are focused on other things, specifically keeping them safe from this kind of evil terrorism that they endured on October 7th.
Okay, that is a realistic view of the situation. And let us be real about something. The reason that the Saudi foreign minister has been talking about the Palestinian state so much is because Joe Biden has been talking about the Palestinian state so much. It's not possible for the Saudi kingdom to be anti-Palestinian state more than the Americans. Well, the reality is, do you think the Saudis want a Palestinian state that will be sponsored, funded, giant terror apparatus against Saudi? Because that's who would be Iran would be funding that. That would be an Iranian proxy state. You think Saudi wants that? You think anyone in the region wants that except for Iran? The answer, of course, is no. You know how I know that? Because Jordan is 70% Palestinian. Anytime they want, they could have a Palestinian state by holding an election. You know why they won't? Because the minute they do hold an election, every member of the Hashemite dynasty will be hanging from a crane. That is the reason. Okay, by the way, the Biden administration on their way out there doing precisely what you would think. They've set the world on fire. They did, particularly in the Middle East. They set the world on fire. You can tell that the stark difference between the Trump administration 2.0 and the Biden administration, I mean, it is astonishing. It's truly amazing. So Trump wins. Within one day, Qatar, which is a cutout for the Iranian regime, Qatar sort of plays this weird middle of the road path with regard to Iran, where they share oil fields with Iran, so they're very friendly with Iran, but they then try to present themselves as negotiators with the West, which is why you'll see Qatar Airways that is advertised in Western stadiums and all the rest of this sort of stuff. Well, Qatar, knowing that Trump is coming in, has apparently, according to Khan News, which is Israel's public broadcast system, has now notified Hamas officials staying in Qatar they are no longer welcome and they must immediately make preparations to depart. That's all it took was Donald Trump winning. He didn't have to do anything. And Qatar was like, oh man, he's going to come in. He's going to punish us for being friendly with Hamas, isn't he? Probably should kick these people to the curb. It just shows you what a change the Trump administration is from the Biden administration. First, did you know you spend a third of your life sleeping? That's around 25 years of your life in bed. With numbers like that, your mattress isn't just furniture. It's an investment in your well-being. That's where Helix Sleep comes in. I never thought a mattress could make such a difference until I actually tried Helix. Well, what sets them apart? Well, unlike those one-size-fits-all brands, Helix offers 20 different mattress options because they understand everyone's sleep needs are unique. It all starts with their sleep quiz, a game changer for finding your perfect match. When I mentioned my struggle with lower back pain on softer mattresses, they recommended their medium firm option. The result is I'm sleeping like a baby in the hours where I don't have to cover what's going on. Looking for that cloud-like feeling? You need their Luxe. You want the ultimate sleep experience? You need their Elite. You need extra support? The Helix Plus has got you covered. Forget those awkward mattress store visits. Helix will deliver directly to your door. Helix is so confident in their product, they give you 100 nights to try it out. That's over 3 months to test your mattress in the real world. Plus, every mattress comes with a 10 to 15-year warranty. So, if you'd like to sleep as soundly as I do, head on over to helixsleep.com/Ben and take that sleep quiz. Plus, Helix is offering up to 25% off site-wide and 2 free Dream Pillows with any mattress purchase. Even better, Helix is offering a free bedding bundle, which is 2 Dream Pillows, a sheet set, a mattress protector with any Luxe or Elite mattress order. That's right, just go to helixsleep.com/Ben. That's helixsleep.com/Ben. With Helix, better sleep starts right now. What's the Biden administration doing? Well, meanwhile, according to the Washington Free Beacon, just before Tuesday's presidential election, the Biden-Harris administration quietly waived mandatory terrorism sanctions on the embattled Palestinian government, even as it determined the government's leaders are paying imprisoned terrorists and fomenting violence in breach of American law. The State Department, in a non-public notice to Congress, determined that the Palestinian Authority and Palestine Liberation Organization are not complying with agreements to curb terrorism against Israel and to end their so-called pay-to-slay program, which hands money to imprisoned terrorists for killing Jews. Those violations should trigger American sanctions, but the Biden-Harris administration used its executive power to waive the sanctions. So they are removing sanctions from the terror-sponsoring Palestine Liberation Organization and Palestinian Authority. The State Department told Congress, quote, a blanket denial of visas to PLO members and PA officials to include those who travel to the U.S. in advance to advance U.S. goals and objectives is not consistent with U.S. government's expressed willingness to partner with the PLO and PA leadership. And not coincidentally, it turns out the Biden administration's willingness to humor all of the stupidity and garbage trotted out by Hamas and its media allies has real consequences. So, last night, there was a pogrom over in Amsterdam. So while you have complete mentally ill people like Jen Rubin over at the Washington Post declaring that Donald Trump, the most pro-Israel president in American history, who won a giant chunk of Jews in New York, in New Jersey, in Florida, in Pennsylvania, in Michigan, while she declares that he's Hitler, actual little Hitlers are running around in the streets of Amsterdam beating up Jews. Okay, that's exactly what happened last night in Amsterdam. So what happened is that there was a soccer match between a soccer team called Maccabi Tel Aviv and Ajax, which is a national team in Amsterdam, based in Amsterdam. And on the way in, apparently, some of the Israeli fans were shouting rude things about I guess there was some sort of scrum in which Israelis and Palestinian advocates were shouting at each other, and some Palestinian flags which had been put out there in order to tick off the Israelis were torn down. None of that's good. What is an actual pogrom is what happened after the match. So after the match, apparently, Israelis and Jews walk out of the match. They're not protected by police outside the stadium. And from what I am told by people who are on the ground, there were bands of young radical Muslims at basically every street corner waiting for people to attack them. And so you end up with film like this in Amsterdam. They're literally running after people in the streets and attacking them in the streets of Amsterdam. So it went on for like an hour and a half with almost no police response. You can see there a Jewish man, presumably being kicked in the street.
Where are you going, Asibi? Where are you going? Where are you going? Come here, come.
There was film of some of them actually driving cars trying to run down Jews in the streets. Sagiv Barzani, according to the Wall Street Journal, a fan who attended the game, said that he and other Israelis fell to the ground as they tried to escape the attackers. A planned demonstration against the Israeli team had been moved away from the stadium. Protesters still tried to go there and then clashed with police. After the game, according to Barzani, his head was stomped on as people chanted "Free Palestine." One fan was being punched in the face, another one being cut in the face with a key. I thought I was going to die. Everyone was running like crazy. People were being thrown into the canals of Amsterdam. People were punching and kicking people, including in Amsterdam's Central Dam Square. One clip filmed from inside a car driving on the sidewalk showed it hitting a pedestrian who rolls over it and onto the ground as a voice is heard saying, "Drive over him." Another video showed a man trying to offer his money to assailants who screamed, "For the children and free Palestine now." So, again, just wonderful behavior here by the pro-Hamasniks who have now spread throughout the West. When you're running around the streets beating up Jews, that's what you call a pogrom. That is legitimately like the definition of a pogrom at this point. It was so bad that the king of the Netherlands, Willem-Alexander, called up the Israeli president, Isaac Herzog, and apologized. He said, quote, "We failed the Jewish community of the Netherlands during World War II, and last night we failed again." Early this morning, Dutch Prime Minister Dick Schoof updated the president on all actions being taken and added his strong condemnation of the incidents. Meanwhile, Geert Wilders, who of course has been the big winner of the last election in the Netherlands, he said, "I just spoke by phone with Israeli Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu and told him of my anger and shame on what happened in Amsterdam. There's no place for anti-Semitism and Jew hate in the Netherlands. I will do all I can to protect Jews and stop and expel Islamic radicals." He also added that this is the consequence of what happens when you allow unchecked radical Islamic immigration into your country. He says they governed for 10 years and looked the other way for 10 years. We're not allowed to talk about Islam as a source of anti-Semitism. They did not dare to kick criminals out of the country. And now we have a Jew hunt in Amsterdam. Well, I mean, those are the wages of propaganda that was winked at and nodded at by the Biden administration. By a West that decided unfettered immigration from areas that hate the West was a genius idea, that softness on terrorism was actually going to be of benefit to the West. That's just some of the wages. Well, all that's about to come to a screeching halt under Trump 2.0. Because what the United States does has radical ramifications for the rest of the world. Are you tired of the lies and the twists of the mainstream media talking points? Yeah, me too. Join me in my newest series, Fact, where I dismantle and bring truth to this tiring mainstream agenda.